What's going on, everyone? This is Sarge. I've been spending quite some time in the new patch playing the Recon kit, and in this video I'm going to be sharing exactly with you what I found to work the best for me, and what may also help you out in the long run. And what you're looking at here is my initial setup of what I have been recommended to use, and then I have found also to quite work in a lot of pretty much a lot of situations, whether I'm playing aggressively or defensively. And what I'm using here is the SV98 with the pull bolt and no muzzle attachment. That's very important, as I found some reason that it tends to give me better registry shots when I'm pointing and aiming at my targets, whereas previously they weren't. And so I noticed on the L96 this combination didn't quite work as well. I'm not sure why, because they're both bolt actions, they both have the same damage, so I figured it wouldn't affect them as differently, but it does. The M40 is also slightly different as well. I wasn't getting as much registry shots as possible. I figured that the red dot would be the best for the attachment, a secondary attachment, but I don't know why it is, but you just don't hit your shots when you're supposed to. And I know many of you guys have seen that in my previous video where I was playing in Squad Rush. They just weren't hitting people. But in this case, with this combination, it does work well. It doesn't matter what scope you put on there, but that pull bolt, you don't really have to have a pull bolt in general, but it also helps to be able to pick off or shoot much faster than regularly. So my sidearm is MP412 Rex, as that did get a significant buff alongside the Magnums. So any Magnum or the Rex itself are just beast pistols. And then my initial squad perk that I usually run now is Squad Cover, as it tones down the suppression that you get with the enemies firing at you. If you guys aren't aware yet, the suppression in the new patch is ridiculous. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. When enemies are shooting at you, your bullets are just flying way off target, whereas before it wasn't as bad. But now it's just horrible. And it's very important as a recon to get your shots off, and to be able to use a squad perk like this, it's also very important. So I would definitely recommend that, but always make sure that when you're playing in squads, you make sure that nobody's running the same perks. So keep that in mind. First thing we're going to look at, that's most importantly, is how the damage has been effective in the new patch, and how that changes the recon player. If you're looking at the damage chart here, you'll notice that the bolt actions all do across the same scale, pretty much 80 damage, whereas previously they used to be 75. The M98B does slightly higher at 95 damage, and then semi-automatics do 50. This SKS is slightly less than that. Now, how does exactly this change your game style? It basically means you can be a more aggressive player and be out there on the front lines taking those objectives and still carry a game, whereas before you had to be a little more on the defensive side and more stationary to pick off your targets. One thing that DICE changed significantly was the areas you hit your target and the damage amplifying to that target. An example of this: if you're shooting your target in the head, your bullets are going to do twice the damage that they normally do. There's a 2.0 damage amplifying when you're hitting your headshots, which is why most of your shots are going to kill your target. And in fact, all of them should be killing your target in one shot when it hits them in the head. This also affects the arms. The arms have just a 1.0 times damage amplifying, which is the same damage your gun has. And then the legs are a 0.9, which is slightly less. And then the chest area, which is the big upgrade from the previous patch to the patch that we have now, has changed significantly at 1.25, whereas previously it was 1.0 and your bolt actions weren't killing your targets at close ranges, but now that's all changing. So if your target is 15 meters, you're going to be killing them in the chest level, and then the farther they are, the way that damage just drops off. And so some people may have noticed that you're not going to kill your targets at some places. That's only a hitbox issue, whereas sometimes it looks like you're hitting them in the chest, but in actuality it's registering it as an arm. And so it just depends on where you place that shot versus the hitbox in the particular server that you're playing in, which will determine the overall outcome of your game. One thing to make note of is that this chest level amplifying effect only applies to the bolt actions and semi-automatic weapons that go along with the Recon kit. This does not apply to, let's say, the assault weapons or the support weapons. Any of the weapons that are not Recon, that does not work when you're shooting at your targets at chest level. The amplifying damage is just still 1.0 for all the other weapons. That being said, I will definitely recommend using the SV98 for now, as it seems to be the best weapon of choice. And I'm actually quite happy about that. Why? Because the SV98 is the first bolt action you unlock for the most part. Secondly, it was my most favorite one in Bad Company 2. I know many of you guys are familiar with me using the SV98. And lastly, it's a Russian-made weapon. I mean, I'm sure many of you guys wouldn't question a firearms that's made by the Russians, who are well-known killers themselves, to be an effective type weapon. And so I'm happy with it, and I'm sure many of you guys are going to be happy with the weapon as well. I'll definitely recommend just start picking it up. Use whatever scopes you like to use, depending on what type of playstyle or the type of ranges you like to go for when picking off your shots. And let me know in the comments of this video how it comes out for you guys, or send me a message to, you know, what kind of kit setups work for you. I just found this to work for me as the best one, but that may change depending on, you know, as we see later on throughout the weeks to come in the patch. Maybe there might be a better combination for you guys. So definitely, if you guys are enjoying this video, I'm showing you guys some gameplay of the sniping or the Recon kit using the SV98 on a server. I've been playing countless games and doing really well with it, and so I'm not sure if it's just maybe adjusting the playstyle to the weapon, or just the weapon itself. So hope you guys enjoy this gameplay, and then until then, I will catch you guys later in another video, which I will be uploading another game that I've been using this weapon and sharing my thoughts with that as well. Take care.
Be advised, I spotted a hostile tank in your AO. Over.